I said, what's the next best thing I can do? I can pretend like I have oxtails. So I went ahead and found this expensive little bit of meat. It's not even 2 pounds and it's $12. I don't know. But anyways, it's just some chuck stew meat. I went ahead and added it to a bowl. And then I went ahead and added in some brown sugar, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper. I added in some smoked paprika, a little bit of ginger powder. I also added in some dried thyme because I didn't have fresh thyme. And then I added in a little bit of seasoning salt and some soy sauce and a little bit of olive oil. Now this is my marinade. I'm gonna go ahead and mix this well and get everything nice and coated. And then I put some plastic wrap on it and I let it sit in the refrigerator overnight for that maximum flavor. Now when it was time to cook, I went ahead and took a little bit of olive oil. I added it to my skillet. I went ahead and browned them on each side. You want to make sure you get a nice crusty brown on it, even darker than that. Just like that, like a nice crusty brown. That brown sugar is going to help it get nice and crusty. How many times can I say crusty? Now after they're nice and brown, you want to go ahead and remove them from your skillet and set it aside. Now to that same skillet, I'm going to go ahead and add in my bell pepper and my onion. Some red and green and a little bit of onion. And I'm going to let that start to cook down and get nice and soft. And then I'm going to add in some minced garlic. And let that continue to cook for a few more seconds. You don't want your garlic to burn. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my meat back in. And then we're going to go ahead, that's the little bit of juice from the meat and the marinade. And I'm going to go ahead and add in some broth. And then I'm going to add in some seasonings. I'll make sure to add all the seasonings that I used in the description box. I added in some salt, bouillon cubes, some more thyme, parsley, just a bunch of seasonings. We want to make sure it's nice and flavorful. Salt, pepper, red pepper flakes. Now and a bay leaf, that's important. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pop a lid on this, cut it down, and I'm gonna let this simmer until my meat gets nice and tender. Now it's gonna be about an hour, almost 2 hours. You just want it to get super tender. So I went ahead and made some white rice. I went ahead and toasted it in a little bit of oil, added in some broth, a bouillon cube, some seasonings. I'll make sure I add it all in the description box. And then I added in a can of drained and rinsed black-eyed peas. And then I'm going to go ahead and just pop a lid on that rice and let it cook for about 20 minutes until it gets nice and tender. I also made some gluten-free cornbread. It was boxed gluten-free cornbread. But here's our rice when it's done. As you can see, it's nice and fluffy and the beans aren't mush. So good, you guys. Now the last thing I wanted to make was some cabbage. So I took a little bit of olive oil in a skillet and then I sauteed up some onions, carrots, and red bell pepper. And then I went ahead and added in my cabbage, my chopped, washed, cleaned cabbage. Now I fry my cabbage. My mom kind of steams it. She puts a little bit of water in it. But I just like to fry my cabbage down until it's the consistency that I want. I like a bite in my cabbage. I don't like it to be too mushy. And I just seasoned it with a bunch of seasonings, salt, pepper, that garlic and herb. I added in some minced garlic, red pepper flakes. I kept it pretty simple. And that's it. But as you can see, our stewed wannabe oxtails, girl, look at that. Look at all of that flavor. This meal was so delicious. As you can see, we have our wannabe oxtails. Oxtails where? We have our fried cabbage, our gluten-free cornbread, which is so good. it's just as good as regular cornbread, you guys. And then we have our rice and peas. You guys, this was so good. Such a good Sunday dinner. Yum.